His Excellency, who has joined us today and accepted our invitation. Excellency Kamel, he has
the I will tell you about the Egyptian story. This is what I call the Egyptian story of Egypt. The story of Egypt started 7,000 years ago, and this is what developed our identity, our foreign policy. Our foreign policy is basically based on four P's, what we call the four P's. First, it's used to govern Egypt, rule Egypt. We have some good examples of very strong women who ruled Egypt, very strong Hatshepsut, Nefertiti, and so on and so forth. One of the basic elements that forms our identity is nation state. Egypt is the first nation state on the planet. And that is why wherever you will see or try to analyze Egyptian foreign policy towards any issue, and I underline the word any issue in the world, it is going to be based on respect for the nation state. A nation state is a state where that incorporates so different elements, but they are still identified with one. And I think as an important example of a nation state, India, you are a nation state. You have so many religions, so many different components. You're so diverse, yet you are identified as India, and this is what forms your identity. The second pillar of our foreign policy is Egypt has been the first nation on the planet to make a peace treaty. So peace actually emanated from the country. Actually, the first act of diplomacy, which is my profession that I take a lot of pride in, was coming from my country. When King Ramses II negotiated the first peace treaty on the planet, that history in 1259 BC. The third principle is patience. Having been there for the past 7,000 years, so I think we are a country that is a bit patient, that we learn how to be patient. And I will give you an example of our patience. Um, I don't know if you saw the video about the Grand Egyptian Museum. I hope you liked it. In the video, you will see that for the first time, we have inaugurated the Grand Egyptian Museum last November. And for the first time in history, the Grand Egyptian Museum will show the full collection of the tomb of Tutankhamun. You know when the tomb of Tutankhamun was first discovered? Any idea? It was discovered in 19. So we had to wait for 102 years in order to find the right moment to show the whole tomb of the Tutankhamun. So we're very patient. We find that we always wait for the right moment, and then we know that it will come. The fourth component of our foreign policy is partnership. It's all about collaboration. Countries will not go anywhere. Wars will not solve anything. We need to cooperate. We need to collaborate. These are the four principles that the Egyptian foreign policy has always evolved around. And if you look into the Egyptian position towards any issue in the whole world, you name it, climate change, so on, and even during the COVID, our foreign policy is based on these four benchmarks. This is what I call the Egyptian miracle. The Egyptian miracle is shown also from what we have become where we are today. Egypt is simply an ancient civilization that is embracing the future. Ever since 2014, before 2014, I'm sure you all were following very closely the Arab Spring challenge that many of the countries in my region went through, including my country. But in 2014 was an important crossroad for Egypt. President Sisi was a very ambitious leader once he was elected. We were surprised of the amount of the challenges that Egypt had to go through. And he was so ambitious that he wanted to work on all tracks. We had genuine security issues in Egypt. We were facing a wave of terrorism, very strong wave of terrorism. We had real political problems. We had genuine socio-economic. The vast majority of the Egyptian people thought that by 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 definition, he would have to go in a structured manner. He would have to take security first and then move up the ladder. But President Sisi actually went the other way. He said we would work on all tracks together, parallel. A lot of people were a bit skeptical, but it is quite difficult to do that. If you look at Egypt in 2014 and where Egypt has become in 2026, this is what is called the Egyptian miracle. One of the doctrines of the Egyptian foreign policy is what we call the strategic balance. That is why we are here today. What do you call here in India sovereignty, strategic sovereignty? They call it here in strategic sovereignty. We call it strategic balance. You don't need to be a part of any alliance in order to develop your country, in order to deal with the current challenge. What you need to do is to cooperate and collaborate with other nations. Multilateralism is a very important component of current geopolitical fluid situation. I'm sure you are all following the very fluid situation that has been going on for the past at least 10 years. What you are seeing today is not something new. It has been there, and the seeds of it were coming for the past 10 years. Yesterday, I was discussing this morning with my colleagues. If you watched yesterday, and so many leaders, and I will refrain from mentioning who, were speaking about the crumbling of the international world order and that it is becoming more and more unfair and unjust to many. And then I smiled and I said, welcome to planet Earth, because those countries do not really feel that because they were part of it. It is our countries in Egypt and other developing countries had this problem, and we saw it, and we have been able to deal with it. So it is not new for countries like ours. I will pause here, and then I will move to bilateral relations with India, because I want to leave time for an open discussion. And I see so many familiar faces here that will be to ask so many questions. So bilateral relations in Egypt and India. So many in India here ever since I came. When I asked about how long back relations go back to, most of them they tell me that it is very old relations. It goes back to the early 20th century. I tell them this is partially true, but not totally true. We have a historic relations together. We have a bond that links our two countries that goes beyond what many of them might think. It goes back to almost 4,552 years. 4,552 years. We had a king in Egypt whose name was Sakurra. He was the first. He's from the fifth dynasty, by the way. He was the first king to start to trade with what is called today India. Afterwards, and this is what links us in so many ways. Afterwards, they started finding traces of Indian spices and Indian fabrics in the mummification process. So, in another meaning, you are part of our body. You are part of our history. This is how strong our bond is. Then, so many years later, we had two visionaries, Mahatma Gandhi and King Saks and Saad Aghlul Basha, who both were fighting for the liberation of their countries and who were inspiring each other in so many letters that have been exchanged between the two. They never met, but they were able to exchange letters. And then we had President Gamal Abdel Nasser and Prime Minister Nehru, who fought shoulder to shoulder for the third world, the developing nations, or what was called the non-aligned movement. They were shoulder to shoulder, together with other. And then there was a sort of a lull in our relationship, a lull that is not really for um, differences between two countries, but more because of you were focusing on things happening in your region, and we were focusing on challenges in our part of the world. You started your economic reform process in 1991. We started our reform process in the 90s, and then we were developing ourselves. So there was this lull now in the relationship between the two countries. And then came 2014, which I say that is a new version, the duality that we always had. President Sisi was elected in Egypt. Prime Minister Modi was elected in India. You had the same, almost the same challenges like the ones we had in Egypt. Yet two leaders wanted to develop their nation, and to they were so ambitious. And that is why they came close to each other. President Sisi visited India 5 times. Prime Minister Modi visited Egypt in June 23, looking forward for his visit again. And we have signed the strategic partnership agreement. Again, partnership, which is part of our identity in Egypt and in India. The strategic partnership agreement is so broad and so ambitious, and it is our job to start to translate it into deliverables. And this is exactly what we are doing. Last year, in October, just a few months ago, our Minister of Foreign Affairs came to visit India to start to translate this partnership into genuine deliverables. And I think we have a very ambitious roadmap ahead of us in 2020, especially with India assuming the chairmanship of the BRICS. So we have very heavy agenda before us in 2026. We have set certain objectives of bringing bilateral trade to 12 billion US dollars. Currently, it's around 5 billion, which is far less than the real potentials of the two economies. India is simply an economy of trillion US dollars. Egypt, our economy is 4 billion US dollars. 5 billion US dollars straight. This does not reflect the real weight of India and the real weight of Egypt. This is far beyond the below the potentials. And even when our Minister of Trade was here and we have discussed this 12 billion US dollars, and he asked, is it attainable? I told him, it's for me, it's still far less the real potential of the two economies. The investment in Egypt is 3.7 billion US dollars, which is, I don't know, which is cannot be less than 10 billion US dollars. We have investments in India, but it's still far less the real potential of the Indian economy. So we need to bring the business people on the two sides more and more aware the real potentials of the two economies. I don't want to take much more of the time. I want to leave time for questions, but I will stop here and I will open the floor for any.
Thank you, Excellency. I'm very enlightening with your talks. In fact, we've been talking about history and civilization when you spoke of the old civilization between India and Egypt. It always been said that there are, there could be two unique or civilization in two different places at the same. And I believe with the mythology and the beliefs of the Indian mythology and the Egyptian old civilization will give you that sort of the similarity in the belief, whether it is in life and death, whether it is in the tree, the Sita or the Ozios. You have so much of similarity in this. To leave it on a lighter note, I will request to Anil to play the museum. We have a small video before we take question and answer to make it lighter. So you have a question. We'll make the civilizational part.
Welcome to the Grand Egyptian Museum, where ancient history and modern wonder come together in a captivating blend of past, present, and future. A first of its kind, the Gem will be the largest archaeological museum dedicated to a single civilization. Geometrically aligned with the timeless Great Pyramids, and a mere 2 kilometers from the Giza Plateau, the Gem's strategic location provides a well-rounded experience encompassing culture, touristic sites, and recreation. The Gem was designed with wonder in mind, a wonder of scale, architecture, culture, innovation, and history. Every detail of the building is deliberately progressive, sustainable, and breathtaking. The scale, dramatic roofs, avant-garde lighting systems, and decorative motifs give the Grand Egyptian Museum a dynamic and mesmerizing identity, unseen in other museums. The design is defined by a large stone translucent alabaster entrance, and the northern and southern walls and the middle section of the building are aligned with the pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. The general design concept gives visitors layered experiences that unfold with every step. Upon entering the Grand Egyptian Museum, visitors are fascinated by the sight of the only hanging obelisk in the world, a unique feature that sets the tone for the awe-inspiring journey ahead. The grandeur continues as one steps into the majestic Grand Hall, where the colossal 80-ton statue of Ramses II stands as a testament to ancient Egyptian craftsmanship and power. Close ahead awaits the imposing grand staircase, spanning an impressive 6,000 square meters and rising to a height equivalent to 6 floors. Ascending the grand staircase, visitors pass by 59 impressive royal statues and artifacts. Upon reaching the top, they are rewarded with a breathtaking panoramic view of the iconic pyramids. Within the museum's expansive interior, 6 permanent galleries and 4 temporary exhibitions showcase thousands of ancient artifacts, including the complete collection of King Tutankhamun, meticulously reunited for the first time since its discovery. This unparalleled collection offers visitors a comprehensive glimpse into the splendor and grandeur of ancient Egyptian civilization. Beyond the museum's main building, visitors are invited to explore the Khufu's Boats Museum, where they can marvel at the ancient wonders that were believed to have sailed across the skies. History buffs and Egyptophiles alike can also delve into the state-of-the-art conservation center, offering a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the meticulous preservation of ancient artifacts. While the Gem's focus extends beyond providing a modern abode for historical artifacts, it also thrives as a vibrant cultural complex, community hub, and knowledge center, bringing the community together through engaging events and a shared appreciation for innovation, creativity, and art, featuring exhibition spaces, conference facilities, educational suites, an augmented reality experience, auditoriums, co-working spaces, a cinema, a library, and extensive outdoor gardens. There's something to suit every taste. Visitors can also drink and dine at one of the appetizing restaurants, indulge in an exquisite dining experience overlooking the pyramids, or immerse themselves in the retail area that houses leading Egyptian brands filled with local treasures and crafts. This new wonder in the making uniquely combines the magic of the past, the vibrancy of the present, and the promise of the future.
the Grand Egyptian Museum. The Grand Egyptian Museum, ladies and gentlemen, is not about history. This is not just artifacts. It's a message. The Grand Egyptian Museum, it's a message. It's a message to humanity. It's an Egyptian gift to humanity. It's a message that on this planet there's a place for everybody, a place for all of us. This is the message of Egypt, and this is the message of the Grand Egyptian Museum and the Egyptian history. Thank you.
Thank you. On this note, I'll open the floor. Please introduce yourself and be brief with the questions, and the mic will come to you. Yes.
Good evening, Excellency. I'm Kadambini Sharma. I'm an independent journalist. Today, we have seen the ratification of a Board of Peace in Davos by President Trump. It seems ironical that the efforts that are led by US. Do you think it will bring some sort of stability and peace in the region? And secondly, something which he has said that he does not mean, but do you think that the importance of UN is somehow being reduced in this whole situation?
I was sure this question was, so I was waiting for it. First of all, it was not ratification, it was signature. It was signed, so it was not ratified. But in order to look at this whole situation, you cannot look at it from today. You cannot look at it from Davos. This whole situation did not even start on the 7th of October 2023. This whole situation started so many years ago. Egypt was the pioneer country in making peace with Israel and bringing peace to the world. And this is the message that Egypt has always held on its shoulders throughout the past 40. However, due to the lack of political appetite from so many countries, there was lack of any progress in bringing back the rights of the Palestinian people. And this was one of the issues that Egyptian diplomacy was carrying for so long. And we have been raising this issue and knocking on the tables in each and every multilateral forum. We need to speak about the Middle East peace process. We need to speak about the Middle East peace process. But there were those who wanted to normalize situation, that it is normal that they occupied and we can go forward. And we always said that things will not go this way. It will not succeed. And the situation will not implode, the situation will explode. And there's a big difference. Until what happened on the 7th of October 2023 happened. And then you also the atrocities and the massacres that follow. Egypt has been at the forefront of this, of efforts to mediate and try to stop the killing machine that was going on. We were working on 3 parallel tracks from the outset. We were working on the security track, and more important, humanitarian track, and on the political track. In the humanitarian track, you know that Egypt has the only borders with Rafah, with Rafah, with Gaza, through Rafah, the Palestinian side of Rafah, of course. We were pushing into Rafah humanitarian assistance, and we were evacuating casualties and foreigners who happened to be in Gaza at the time of the war. And being part of this exercise person, usually people speak about numbers of the people who were killed. You know how many who were killed in Gaza? Around 70,000? More. Are they just numbers? This is the problem. I was part of this. I saw the people who were coming. Those are not numbers. I just see it in the media. The number just increasing. It's not numbers. Those are souls. Those are human. Egypt doubled its efforts to push more and more humanitarian assistance, coordinate with the Israelis in order to push more and more humanitarian assistance. We had 4 hospitals, field hospitals in Gaza. We were evacuating those who needed genuine treatment. We were treating them in our hospitals in Egypt. So this is on the humanitarian track. We were coordinating with the international interlocutors to bring in assistance through the Egyptian Red Cross to coordinates with the Palestinian Red Cross. On the security track, we were mediating to stop the war. And on the political track, we were trying to find pathways to resume negotiations for peace. I think President Trump, important development ever since he came, when he put his leverage behind stopping the war. And this was very important, and his role was key in order to stop the war, and which culminated in the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement. It is important now to move to stage 2 of UN Security Council Resolution 28, and we have been pushing for that for so long. And in order to move this stage, and based on the UN Security Council Resolution 2803, this board of peace was going to be established. We have been invited to it. Yesterday, Egypt announced its acceptance in order to bring genuine peace, not only to Gaza, the Palestinian, and to the Palestinian cause. This is one of the major, hopefully, major tools that will bring back peace to the Middle East. Referring to your question regarding the United Nations, as I said earlier, one of our basic priorities and genuine principles is multilateralism. And in the heart of multilateralism is the United Nations. We need to reform the United Nations, make it more effective. And this will be our position. This has been our position. It will remain our position. The United Nations is indispensable.
Pretty? Pretty, you want to ask? Okay. Yes, please, Huma.
Yeah, my name is Huma Siddiqui and I'm with Strat News Global. I have two questions. One, what do you think about the Gaza plan which Donald Trump president has announced? What kind of role do you expect Egypt to play in that? And my second question is, you have put a trade target of $15 billion. Sorry, yeah, $12 billion. So, what are the sectors that you have identified where it can go?
Regarding the prospects of the Gaza peace plan, as I just mentioned, Egypt will always be key to bringing peace to the Middle East. If you're alluding to the issue of boots on the ground, this is something that is not being discussed yet. It might be at a later stage, and I don't think that would be an issue for Egypt, and or that Egypt would be part of. Egypt will always be part of the humanitarian effort, any logistical support. And having said that, we already provide training to 5,000 Palestinians to be part of the security apparatus in Gaza. Moreover, Egypt was part of developing the civilian committee, which includes 15 Palestinians from Gaza. So this is in answer to the second part, which regarding the trade. I think there are so many sectors that needs to be tapped. Fertilizer is one of them. Agriculture products is another. Energy is third. Uh, I said agriculture, industrial goods, um, green hydrogen, IT, and mentioning green hydrogen. You know that Egypt and this is something that I was not aware of. I would be aware of it because of one of the Indian companies that is investing in Egypt in green hydrogen. Um, CEO of this company told me, "Oh, that Egypt is going to be what he said, the Gulf of green energy in the future." I was not aware of that. I was not based on their studies. Egypt is the uh, in terms of green energy, whether we are speaking about solar or we are speaking about wind energy, because we do have the whole ecosystem, legal ecosystem, the infrastructure, the landlines, the ports. We have the whole system. We have even the network with free trade agreements with Europe, with Africa. So we have the whole logistic landscape for that.
Everybody. Yes, you take it. Yeah. Give.
Hel- Okay. Uh, Um, I am SS Kirmani from Beyond Horizon magazine. You just now mentioned strategic friendship. So my question is in this regard, India and Egypt has a deep-rooted friendship in the form of non-aligned movement. But during our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi visit in 2023, this was upgraded to strategic friendship. A strategic, right? I'm sorry, strategic partnership. So, what does mean? Means this level means. Can you give us means some policy dialogue in this direction, which has taken place? Means of course there are so many means economic this was economic zone etc. But which has what you can say taken the solid firm shape. Can you tell us?
As I said, the strategic partnership is very broad, and I think it's a natural development of our bilateral relationship. Um, yes, there has been dialogue between the two countries. Our foreign minister was here, and who held the first round of the strategic called the strategic dialogue between the two countries. That was in last October 2025, and that is where they agreed. We agreed with the Indian side for on a very long and agenda for 2026. We will develop our relations much further during this year. So, in a short answer to your question, yes, we do have a plan, and that is agreed between the two countries. And that we're going to work on during the course of this year.
Yes, sir. This is Sanjay from Arab News. My question is about this, the reported disruptions in the unity of in the Gulf states among the countries in the Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. As we have seen that how the differences erupted on the issue of Yemen and Sudan. How you look at it? People call it as a Cold War in the Middle East. What's your take on that?
So, given that I'm not a member of Egypt is not a member of the Gulf countries, I will speak on behalf of my country. In general, nations do have differences in one point of view. What is important is not to take it to another level. This has always been there. Between your very closest friends, I'm sure you have some differences in analyzing a certain situation, but that does not mean that there is animosity between the countries. And this is what we have always been looking for. And this is what Egypt has always been trying to promote. So there might be differences between them, and there's differences between us, by the way. But that does not mean that we're against. What is important is not to magnify these differences, which is at the end of the day, those are Arab countries, and those are members of the GCC. So not put much into, don't read too much into it. There might be differences. Yes, there might be differences, but at the end of the day, they will be there. It has always been there. It will be there. This is the name of the game. Simple. This is a very simple linear answer to your question.
Good evening, Excellency and everyone. My name is Ashok Raj. I'm from the Pioneer. I have a two question. One about Gaza peace plan. In this regard, President Trump has asked and already informed, and the world is gossiping about his aspirations about Nobel Peace Prize. What's your thought, your country thoughts? And second one is Mr. Well just says that Egypt is looking for more tourism from India. Are you going to ease in your visa system? Thank you.
Regarding the Nobel Prize, I'm representing Egypt. Egypt does not give the Nobel Prize to anybody, so it's not our call. Regarding the whether we support or not, that does not make a difference. It's not our call. So this is a direct answer to your question. The second issue on the restrictions, there's no restriction for Indians to go to Egypt. Actually, past month, 1 month ago, almost 1 month ago, was it, Haitham? 1 month ago, when we eased the procedures, we have further relaxed the procedures for Indians to go to Egypt. Now, Indians can simply, those who have a Schengen visa or a US visa, they can get it upon arrival in Cairo airport. They don't need a visa; they will get it upon arrival at the airport. Those who does not possess a visa, they can come directly to the embassy, and they can also apply for an e-visa, which is very easy. They will get it for and also through the embassy or the consulate in Mumbai. They will get it maybe in 2 days or one day. But I'm just giving all this time for sometimes the amount of applications is so big. So I say 2 days. Probably you'll get it the next day. So there's a lot of relaxation of procedures for Indians to go to Egypt, and we have now the direct lines that link the two countries. We have Egypt Air that flies from Delhi and another from Mumbai. So we have 9 weekly flights from Egypt and India. So it's the whole ecosystem.
Excellency, Kaunul Bhattacharjee from the Hindu newspaper. Excellency, my question is regarding the Board of Peace that President Trump has proposed and now being launched. From the look of it, it appears that there are a lot of members in that Board of Peace, and it will be sort of a consultative council of the eldest statesmen of the world. But do you think it is going to be a consultative council, considering the fact that the world is pretty much under the spell of Trump era, and it is President Trump who is the supreme leader at the moment, as it looks like from the world. Uh, him being in charge, do you think the Board of Peace would be an arena where ideas would be freely exchanged, or would it just end up as a vehicle for American imperialism in the world in a new sense? And secondly, I also wanted to ask you, like, when you look at the history of the region of the First World War, we have ideas like the Trusteeship Council. Those were colonial ideas. These new vehicles that are being floated, like the Board of Peace, etc. Do you think these also reflect the resurrection of these old ideas like Trusteeship Council? Does it look like return of the era of colonial values?
This is a very difficult but yet very easy question. What do you think? Let me ask you. Give me your take on that. Okay. But it's all about presumptions. You're presuming a situation. We didn't see it. In order to analyze a situation, we need to see facts. The only fact that we have in front of us as Egypt is that we want to stop the war and we want to stop the killing machine. And I think we agree on that. Or if you don't, please do tell me. What is important is our focus. Let's keep our eyes on the objective. The objective is to stop the killing. And I think we all in this room would agree. But to go further and read too much into it, this is a presumption that remains to be seen. But what I'm sure of, my country, it's not going to be part of any colonial conquest. Anyway, we have been fighting that together, shoulder to shoulder with India.
Thank you, Excellency, for briefing on the India-Egypt relations. I have two questions. One is that to, uh, you have been ambassador to Palestine, as well as you have been dealing with the Palestinian issues since long on the strategic level also. Do you think in the current scenario after President Trump's announcements in the new board and what all they are doing, the PNA will be having a role to play at this very juncture in Gaza? Because they have been sidelined, PNA, Palestine National Authority, what I am talking about. Second, Excellency, regarding the bilateral relations, we know that economic relations strengthen political relations. So likewise, bilateral visits also, they strengthen relations, particularly on people-to-people level. In the past, we had seen there were a lot of journalists who were coming from Egypt, whether it was Hassan al-Haikal or, it was the lady Aisha Abdurrahman, who was in Ronald Yusuf, and many others were coming. And a number of journalists from India also were going, and they were coming and writing. But now, what we find for the last 20 years, or 25 years, there are no such visits. So, do you think that now, since you have entered into a strategic partnership agreement, why this, journalist visits, bilateral visits should not be encouraged through ICCR or through your own cultural or journalistic or media organizations? Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a very, very good question. Regarding the Palestinian Authority, they are the legal body that represents the Palestinian people. And if you look into the 15-member body that has been established in Egypt, that was announced last week, the members of the civilian administration body of Gaza, they are members of the Palestinian Authority, and they are working in the ministries of the Palestinian Authority. So the Palestinian Authority remains the right address when it comes to the Palestinian people, because they are the real representatives of Palestine. So this is a very direct, a very linear answer. Uh, Regarding the exchanges, 2025 and 2024, there have been so many exchanges at the level of ministerial exchanges between the two countries. This is part of the political and people-to-people dialogue. So we had our Minister of Trade who visited India, Culture who visited India, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, you had your Minister of your Minister of State Foreign Affairs was just in Egypt last week, and your Minister of Fertilizers visited Egypt. So there were so many changes. At the level of academia, we had in 2020, November 2024, there were members of the Egyptian Foreign Affairs Council who visited India. So yes, there is continuous contact between the two sides. We need more. Certainly, we do need more. And journalists needs to go to Egypt. Yes, you need to go to Egypt. You need to go to witness for yourself what's happening in Egypt. We will be playing later a video of the new Egypt. This will put the new era in Egypt, the new civilization in Egypt. We are not only an ancient civilization, we're also a contemporary civilization right now in the past 12 years. So yes, we need more people to come to Egypt. We need more Egyptians to come to India. It's true, and we will be working for that in the coming year.
Good evening, Excellency. Devdatta from the print. I have a question on now that there's the Gaza peace board, and last year when the Egyptian foreign minister visited India, he said that Egypt being part of IMEC, possibly being part of the IMEC corridor, depends a lot on the resolution of the Palestinian question. Now, at this current moment, how does Egypt view it, and will we see any kind of development along those lines? Thank you.
don't think there is any linkages between the IMEC and the Palestinian issue because and Egypt being part of the IMEC. The IMEC is not operational because of so many geopolitical turmoil in the region. Though we are not part of it yet, but we have expressed our willingness to be incorporated based on the parameters of the Egyptian foreign policy, which is complementarity. We don't see that it is because there are so many. I read it here. Uh, there are those who say that Egypt has certain dismays about the IMEC because it represents another route that tried to exclude Suez Canal. The Suez Canal cannot be excluded, by the way. Neither IMEC, neither anything else. 12% from international trade goes through the Suez Canal. Nobody can exclude the Suez Canal. But what we are, the idea that we are coming with is that instead of looking into a corridor, a trade corridor, let's look into a trade network. Let's look at it in a more of a network rather than just a corridor. Network would bring you other alternatives, would open other routes for trade with Africa, open other routes of trade with Europe and with the Arab world. Given that we do have free trade agreements with all those countries, so we will not be only providing Indians with 100 million Egyptian market of 100 million. No, we will bring into the game 2 billion new clients, whether we are speaking in Africa, whether we are speaking in Europe, whether we are speaking in Turkey, in the UK, the Mercosur countries, by the way, and moreover to the Arab, which is called the Greater Arab Trade Area. So this is one component. The other component is the logistical infrastructure that we do have in Egypt, the multimodal infrastructure that we do have in Egypt. So many Indians do not know that we do on the Red Sea. We have 5 ports, top-notch ports. What I mean when I'm speaking about ports, I'm saying 3 ports. We have on the Mediterranean other, or maybe 4 or 5 ports, top-notch ports. We have linked to Egypt with what we call the Green Railway, linking Sokhna and the Mediterranean, or I mean, the Red Sea, Mediterranean. We have 7,000 new kilometers highways that link the whole Egypt together, about the Mediterranean or the Red Sea. Green hydrogen. Moreover, electricity grids. Now we have started operating the connectivity between Egypt and Saudi Arabia, the electricity. We have trilateral cooperation of electricity with Jordan and with Iraq. So Egypt is in the middle of every and every and each kind of connectivity in the Middle East, not only the Middle East, whether we are speaking about Africa or so do we have value added for the IMEC? Yes, the answer is yes. If let's assume that Egypt is a member of IMEC today, well, I can tell you that tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning we will have IMEC operation. So this is a very direct answer to your question.
Bloomberg. Just wanted an understanding as per, after the strategic partnership that India and what are the kind of discussions that are happening on defense cooperation? Is there because we did hear about co-production both in Egypt and India. Has that progressed anywhere? And therefore, what kind of platforms are both countries looking at, if at all?
Well, defense cooperation is a very important component of our relationship together, and then I don't think this is the right platform to speak about defense cooperation between countries. But it is an important field. There is one of the prospects is co-production. One another prospect is the joint, and there are so many joint exercises that we have together, and it is going forward. And there is important developments will be coming. Yes,
Good evening, Excellency. My question to you, just wanted to understand, how do you see this US support to Israel, which is relentless in the light of whatever has happened in Gaza, affecting the larger region? Because particularly you have had a stand in favor of Palestine. So how do you see that? That is my first question. And secondly, your relations with Pakistan are equally as close as you say you are close with India. In context of the terrorism uh, thing, which we keep having a problem with Pakistan. So, what is your take on that? Thank you.
Let me get to your first part of the question, which relates to the Palestinian issue. And you mentioned that Egypt is on the side of Palestine. Let me tell you, a bit of a surprise. Egypt, the side of principles. Egypt is on the side of humanity. And if once you are taking the side of humanity, you will be taking the side of the Palestinian people and the right of the Palestinian people. So those who are not supporting the Palestinian people or who are not on the side of the Palestinian people, they're not on the side of humanity. This is very simple. I think the whole world has been mobilized behind the Palestinian people. You saw that in the General Assembly with the various resolutions that have been passed throughout the past 2 years. It's all about humanity. Um, well, mentioning the American position, or the recent American position, always had their position towards this issue, and they had a very important role in bringing peace between Egypt and Israel during the Carter era. So the role of the United States is very important. It will remain very important. They're very crucial. They're an important player, and the role of President Trump in bringing the current war to a halt was very instrumental. So this is in answering your question. Regarding the other part, the relation with, you mean Pakistan. As I said earlier, the parameters, I bring you back to my introductory remarks. The parameters of foreign policy include partnership. We do not fall into any alliance with anybody against anybody. This is a rule that we have in are for collaboration and we are for cooperation. Regarding what you mentioned about terrorism, Egypt was among in the forefront of countries that have been hurt by terrorism, whether we are speaking in the 80s, there was a wave of terrorism. And again, the early, after the 2014, there was another wave of terrorism. So nobody can tell us about terrorism. We can give lessons about terrorism through and what countries go through. It is all about non-state actors that try to use certain situations in countries in order to radicalize the population. Um, we are against terrorism. We're very clear on that. And and I bring to your attention what Egypt did after the Pahalgam attack in April. We were among the forefront of countries that came forward with a very clear, very strong statement from the foreign policy. President Sisi spoke to Prime Minister Modi. Our foreign minister spoke to the Indian foreign minister. We are very clear on that. We are very clear on terrorism and that we are against terrorism. If you have any position or any other ideas regarding countries, this is I'm not aware of countries that are supporting terrorism, but it's all about non-state actors that are trying to use situations that in order to exploit uh, deficiencies in relations between countries.
Excellency Poonam Dabas, earlier with the national broadcaster, and I now look independently at 10 areas of conflict, including state and union levels. My question to you is, you mentioned that, Egypt has been at the forefront of trying to bring in humanitarian help to the Gazans. There was a talk of the Sinai Peninsula, where they could, you said you have also been taking them in, for not just treatment, but for other reasons also. So Sinai Peninsula, there was a lot of talk that they should be brought in and maybe Egypt could settle some of them, including many other countries. What is the current status?
2 points before answering. Actually, two comments on the question itself. You mentioned Gazans. I would bring to your attention to be very careful when using this word, because there is nothing called Gazans. There are Palestinians in Gaza. Do not you start, because I started feeling that this word Gazans started slipping into international literature. There is nothing called Gazans. Palestinians in Gaza. This is one. And you said that Egypt was going to take Palestinians into your talk, but it is talk. No, let me be very crystal clear on it. I will not be diplomatic. Talk, it might be talk. Egypt will not be and will not be part of a replacement, will not be part of migration of Palestinians in Gaza, will not be part of that. We will not, and we will not accept it. Palestinians have their own state in Palestine, whether we're speaking about Gaza or the West Bank. This is period. And I think the talk that you mentioned has faded away. It was there throughout the past year and a half, 2 years, faded away because they understood that it cannot be an solution, and they understood that Egypt is very firm on that. So I don't see this talk. I know that it was there, but as you see during the course of this year, it's faded away. We didn't hear it. It is not there anymore, and it will not be there. It will never be there.
Thank you, Excellency. I think I'll take the last question myself. And before I answer this question, regarding Gaza, actually, if you look at the history of Palestine, you will know that the Gazan population, 75% of the Gazan population, the Palestinian population. No, in Gaza Strip, I'm saying. Let me also come back to your excellency on this. I meant in the Gaza population of the Palestinian, 75% of them are survivor of the genocide committed in the other part of Palestine. These are the one who survived those genocide and were kicked and pushed into Gaza. So therefore, as Excellence said, it is a whole of issues. Now, on a lighter note, we were talking of civilization. My final question to Your Excellency is, we spoke in India, we say that if you test the water of Yamuna, you come back. You say have the same thing in Egypt. You say if you have the water of Nile, you'll always come back to Egypt. So since Egypt is facing a big problem of the great grand dam by Ethiopia, and there is a water wars now all over the world happening, whether it is India, Pakistan, India, China, or is it it's also the future wars with Turkey and everybody, we're saying in Israel. I'm not saying of war, but my point here is a very critical position. You consider the Nile as the existence or extensional threat because of the dam now. Could you please elaborate? Because this is very important topic. And even President Trump was trying to intervene so he can get double Nobel Prize for that.
Well, thank you, Dr. Well, for this question, because I was expecting it much earlier. Nobody asked it. Everybody focused on Gaza and Palestine. In order to answer your question again, I will bring you back to what I said earlier about peace, about the benchmarks of foreign collaboration. Let me bring to your attention that Egypt is one of the countries, according to the World Bank benchmark, we are extreme poverty in terms of water because of water scarcity. Because according to the World Bank benchmarks, it's 1,000 billion per annum. In Egypt, it is 480, which is we are extreme poverty. We're not only in poverty, we are at the extreme poverty level. Having said, The amount of water that we're getting every year is around 55.5 billion cubic meters from the Nile River. And in total, we have around 58 billion cubic meters per annum. With having said these figures, you know how much Ethiopia gets out of rainfall only per year? Anybody have any idea about the amount of water that Ethiopia gets per year from rainfall? 935 billion cubic meters. How much of this water is being used by Ethiopia from So they don't need the Nile water, the Blue Nile water. They have abundant water resources. Actually, because Egypt believes in partnership and Egypt believes in development and the right of people to develop themselves, the right of countries to develop themselves. And this is what we're doing in Africa and other African countries, helping other African countries to build dams. We have offered Ethiopia to build various dams in order to have a reservoir of the water that is coming from the rainfall used. Anybody have any answer why they refuse? Nobody. They are trying to weaponize water. If you look into the location of the dam, Ethiopian dam that they are building it on the border with, is that getting electricity? If you want to get electricity, it would be in totally a different place, not on the border of another country. So we are weaponizing, we are using the water, despite the fact we have always told the Ethiopian brothers that the Nile is like green that links us together throughout history, throughout the past 7,000 years. The Egypt is what as Dr. Fuad just said. Egypt is the gift of the Nile. Without the Nile, Egypt would have not been there because we live even on the banks of the Nile. So this is the vein that links us. We are brothers with Sudan and the other riparian countries. But however, with the current regime, they're trying to weaponize water, and we went for 15 years of negotiations, rounds and rounds, ideas and at certain stages they agreed, and before signing an agreement, they get back. They don't show up. So we are following the situation very closely, but what I can tell you very clearly, very, very clearly, as I told you, one of the parameters of Egyptian is patience. We're very patient. But what I'm 100% sure, and I can tell you very clearly, that the Egyptian national security will not be tampered with. I'm very clear on that. We are very clear on that. Thank you.
Excellency, thank you. I think we finished the press conference, but I wanted to play a video of the economic opportunities in Egypt. Excellency, share it with us so you can have a look. Anil, could you play the video, please? Then we will do the vote of thanks and thanks.
The instant your eyes fall on it, you see a great country, a generous country with its kind people, who, after years of patience and waiting, deserve the path of accomplishments in all fields. We have built thousands of kilometers of roads and bridges, lifelines of hope and life. Tunnels, Nile axes that form a new crossing for the dream. Integrated plans with which we have renewed the means of land transportation. Projects that have realized the civilizational transition in railways. We added new phases to the metro, and for the first time, we introduced the electric train and the monorail to deliver quality life for our people. We also developed marine transportation. Our Egyptian ports turned into pivotal international ports. We established a number of airports in Egypt's governorates. The Suez Canal is the world's gate for all global trade. We started with the digging of the new Suez Canal, and we continued the dream with the digging of the tunnels. The door was opened for hundreds of projects in the economic zone. We started a new era in the electricity field. We achieved self-sufficiency with new stations that have realized huge surplus for export. And in the field of clean energy, we invested in the establishment of wind power plants and the world's largest solar park in Binban, Aswan. Made in Egypt is not just a slogan, but a dream that has been realized, where the well and technological advancement factories opened their doors in all fields with Egyptian hands. We established tens of industrial complexes, including Irobeki project, which achieves leverages raw cotton, Egypt's reserve of white gold, an integrated industrial scale on an area of 203 fathoms that encompasses the first smart industrial Egyptian city with the highest international standards, which harnesses the Swiss, German, and Italian state-of-art technology in spinning and weaving, printing, and tanning. We achieved a safe industrial exploitation of our mineral wealth with the establishment of more integrated production facilities in the field of iron and steel. We succeeded to secure our local cement industries. We were able to fulfill the needs of the housing, construction, and once again, we rediscover our quarry wealth, with which we were able to establish Al Galala Treasures City for marble and granite, an industrial edifice that houses 13 factories with the state-of-art international techniques and advanced machines, with a total annual capacity of 30 million square meters. Egyptian hands extended to build the first industrial city for food products in line with international technological standards, Silo Food City, that includes 10 factories. A few years ago, we started looking for and exploring energy sources. We succeeded in discovering new oil and gas fields and turned Egypt into a regional hub for the exports of gas. We established many petrochemical plants to support industrial and agricultural activities, meet local demand, and export the surplus. We started projects for the development of water resources and irrigation by establishing a water treatment plant in Al Mahsama that lifts 1,050,000 cubic meters per day to reclaim 50,000 fathoms east the Suez Canal. This is in addition to the construction of world's largest wastewater treatment plant, Bahr al-Ba'r plant, that treats 5.6 million cubic meters per day of wastewater, reused to reclaim 456,000 fathoms. We implemented plans for agricultural reclamation in all governorates by expanding the National Greenhouse Project with a total of 100,000 fathoms of greenhouses that aims to produce high-quality agricultural crops. Agricultural projects were reclaimed to add more than 25% of the agricultural area in Egypt by reclaiming and cultivating about 2.5 million fathoms. In order to achieve the meaning of integration and benefit from our water resources, we continue our national project to purify and develop the largest lakes in Al Manzala, Burulus, Itku, and Bardawil. Egypt has made its way to new horizons of fish protein by establishing a number of large fisheries projects in the Middle East, including Birkat Ghalioun in Kafr el-Sheikh, Fairuz Project, Sharq el-Tafri'a, Port Said, El Diba Triangle, west of Port Said. By them, Egypt has become the top African country in the field of fisheries. Egypt continues its plans in food security by establishing competitive animal and dairy production edifices with international quality. Today, good has filled our country, and the doors have opened for Egypt to export high quality and competitive products. Here is Egypt, the land of serenity and residence. We bade farewell to the age of slums and built tens of thousands of alternative housing units. New cities and urban communities were established in all governorates, accommodating millions of people from all segments who dream of a better life for themselves and their children, the most important of which is the new administrative capital, Egypt's face of civilization with the birth of the new republic, a smart city that illustrates the meaning of harmony and integration. So is the House of Representatives, People's Square, Memorial, Business and Financial Area, Islamic Cultural Center,
And this is what I wanted you to see by yourselves. In Egypt, we have built in only 12 years. This has been built in 12 years. We have invested 550 billion US dollars in 12. We have built 24 new cities, including the last one, which is the new administrative capital. 24 new cities, not being built, has been built. And for instance, for the administrative new capital, or what we call the new capital, it is now operational. I came to India from my office in the new capital, the foreign ministry. So all the ministries now is operating from. Ladies and gentlemen, Egypt has transformed a lot. You need to see. You need to see this for yourselves. It is not. It's not something that's, a minor. It's not something that is just a minor detail. This is strategic, and I think this, if you see it, and I want you to go on more and more and more to see. And this, Mr. Zikr Rahman, I want you, and I want other journalists to go to see, to understand the real potential that we have for cooperation. Um, we have a very strong link together. And I to tell you the truth, my dream here in India is of the sky. And as I used to said to tell my friends, when I came here in India, this is just a final footnote. When I came to India, I was under the impression that the sky is the limit for potential cooperation between the two countries. But after coming here, after a few months, after seeing the real potential here in India, I went to a friend of mine and I told him that I owe you an apology. Then this was one of the officials here in India whom I met in my first day. And he told me, why do you owe me an apology? I told him, listen, when I first time that saw you and told you that the sky is the limit. I think I was wrong, and I'm so sorry for that. I was surprised. An ambassador coming to tell me that the sky is not the thing. Sorry, that's about the sky is the limit between our two countries. Yes. Because I discovered that ours is the limit. Simply, so you see the real potential of the countries.
Excellency, I ask Mayank, please put the vote of thanks to our ambassador. Thank you.
I'd like to extend my thanks to His Excellency for his invaluable time and the deeply insightful address. It couldn't have been better timed. We had a lot of pressing questions, as yeah, exactly, on a whole gamut of issues, as you and Dr. Awad anticipated earlier. Thank you very much for your time, for coming by. Before I end my vote of thanks, a very small note that India is not new to you. You spent your early childhood years in Bombay. That's great. Thank you.
Yes, Excellency, his father was the general counselor. Did you say again?
I know some Hindi word.
Before we token gift, Excellency, I would like to make a small note that tomorrow we have a big event at the club. We will be hosting the Prime Minister of Bangladesh on audio. Then we have 4 or 5 ministers, human rights. So there is going to be a big gala. If you like to join without making any hangama, you please join us. No problem. We can do that. And the second part, whenever you quote His Excellency, I'm sure we will have more of Egyptian films, and that was promised previously with your ambassador also. And I wish we'd see more of Egyptian film clubs in our here, and maybe an Egyptian food one day. That we will be happy to host you in our club. Thank you very much, Excellency. I wanted to give you a token gift from our club and the bouquet of flower. Sorry, Excellency, keep it backside. It will be better so we can take a next picture for you with that. Thank you. Thank you. And we have also small souvenir from the club. We can also present it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we can present also to Haitham, and you are the sister as well. It's token gift from us. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Join us for tea, please. Thank you. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you very much.